Oh, thank you so much for coming back to Sarita Talks. This is my new series called Gone But Not Forgotten. Okay. And I want to profile the people that I know, but also those that I don't know. So, we've talked to Paris Spears, who is in Farmington in Missouri. We've recently talked to Brenda Williams, who is, a dear friend, I spent a lot of time with. And this series is going to keep going. So you don't have to be in Missouri. You don't have to know me. If you think that your message, we all have a message that we can share, but I'm profiling people who no one is saying their names. No one is, after a while, and I've said this before, when you're in prison, people forget about you. So once more, let me show you. We're on the phone. We're on the phone with Chillicothe Correctional Center, and my friend, excuse me, I'm sorry, we're going live. So or look at this live video, but we're not a number, but give them your number. She's in Chillicothe Correctional Center, the state of Missouri. Friend of mine, Terressa Cummings. Terressa, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. Hello, my name is Terressa Cummings. My number is 138915. I am 59 years old. I'll be 60 on June the 20th, and I am in prison for first-degree murder. I have been here for 25 years
Jesus.
for a crime that I did not commit.
And I've always known that you were one of the many people that were innocent. And what's so sad about the state of Missouri is they will lock you up and throw away the key. So there's some important facts about Terressa's case that we all need to know, because Terressa, you did not commit that crime, did you?
That's correct. I did not. I was with, at the time, my boyfriend who kidnapped this girl. He got a 20-year sentence for felony murder, the underlying felony being kidnapping, and 15 years for kidnapping running concurrent. He is currently on the street. I was there when he killed this girl. I went to the cops and said, this is who she is, this is where she is, and I know this because I was there. I told them what my involvement was and took them to the body that they never would have found without my help. And here I said first-degree murder, life without parole.
Wow. So did you just get the LWOP, which is life without parole, or were there additional years tacked onto that as well?
No, I just got life without parole.
Okay, so you will never have the chance to go before the parole board. I'm just clarifying for the audience, and plead your case. Talk about the 25 years that you've been, an exemplary, I'd hate inmate, I hate offender, but you've been exemplary because I was there with you. And you've been involved in every program that there is, and you did not commit the crime. So will you ever get the opportunity, just for the audience, to see the parole board?
No, I will not. I work every day. I've had one violation in 10 years. People with these types of crimes usually have a propensity to act up and act ignorant when they're in prison. I get up every day. I work. I'm not in a wheelchair. I'm on my 2 feet. I'm doing whatever is asked of me. The violation I just recently got, I was in hospice care. I'm a hospice volunteer, and I made a phone call for a dying patient with my PIN number, which is against the rules.
Yeah.
And I did break the rule, technically, but morally, I don't feel like it was wrong.
No.
However, I did it and got dismissed as a hospice volunteer, but I do whatever I can every day, and I give back. I'm in the RJO, Restorative Justice Organization. Mm-hmm. I do all kinds of things.
Yes, you do. And I was right there with you. So let me tell you, there's so many good people that have been warehoused. So the person that actually committed the crime that you reported and helped law enforcement to take off the streets, when was he released?
Probably like 3 years ago.
Okay. Let me just ask you, how did you feel when that happened?
Well, I felt like that he ought to be the one still in prison since he committed the crime, and I should have at least been given the same sentence as him, if nothing else. But, there's a thing, first-degree murder is premeditation.
Yes.
cool deliberation, no matter how brief. If I reach out and slap someone, I thought about it for a half a second. So that's cool deliberation. He got a felony murder charge, which is the example they used. If you and I go rob a bank and I'm sitting in the car, he goes in with a gun, I should have known that there's a possibility that someone could die. So, like, he got felony murder, the underlying felony being kidnapping. I got first-degree murder and first-degree murder only. Life without parole or the death penalty are the only two penalties for that crime. And he's out walking the streets, and I'm sitting in prison for his crime.
And, I don't know if the audience picked up on this, but Terressa did not commit the crime. She told was it the next day?
No, it was 5 days later. He stayed with me the whole time, and I had just watched this man murder someone.
Yes.
So I was really, really careful. I mean, I'm kind of a street person, so I have a lot of street smarts about myself, so I knew that at any moment I could probably die as well, and I'm really surprised that he didn't kill me. But he said instead of digging 2 holes and burying each of you, I could just dig one and put you both in it. So I just knew that there was a possibility that I could also die. So I did everything I could, told him I loved him, everything just to get back to my car. That he had the keys in his pocket the whole time we were down there so that I didn't get away. So, yeah, I could have easily died too myself that day.
So when you went to go report it to law enforcement, tell me how that went.
Well, I went to my ex-husband's house and I told him, I said, hey, Ron just killed someone. His name is Ronnie Johnson. And he goes, what? And I said, yeah, you know Melissa? And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, Ron killed her. And he's like, no way. And he said, well, Teresa, he said, the way I see it, you have 3 options. He said, 1, you can kill Ron. And I said, well, I'm not going to do that. 2, you can get in your car and leave and never look back. He said, but you'll never be able to see your children again. He said, 3, or you can go to the cops. And I said, well, that's where I'm headed right now.
And what type of 3 options are those if you think about it? Regular people just don't realize that in a snap, your whole life can change. I sat on first-degree murder as well, cool deliberation, all that. However, just through the hand of God, I was pled down to 2nd degree. So I know what that's like, facing that much time. And then they'll hold things over you, like, oh, you might be a victim, but you switched it. And, oh, you've done this, you've done that, you've done this. At the end of the day, there are decisions and choices that people don't ever think that they would be in the situation to make. So I'm just going to repeat what Terressa said. She went to her ex-husband. He says, go to the police, turn around, leave forever, which was, something somebody had told me about my victim, that I either need to leave town and never come back. It was never on the table to, eliminate it. He had so much going on with organized crime that wasn't an option for me. And going to the police wasn't an option either. So you just don't realize that there are people who have been locked up behind bars that had no options. Now, your option that you chose should have got you out of that trouble, but it didn't. It didn't. So you go to the police, and then what happens?
Well, first of all, I called the FBI because I didn't know where we were at. I thought we were in Oklahoma, like we were across state lines. I had no idea. I had never been there before, and he knew that there was a fence that we crossed. He knew that this side was owned by this person, this side was Dade County, and this side was over here. I had never been here before in my life. And so I called the FBI first, and they laughed at me, literally laughed at me. Man, what kind of joke are you trying to play? I said, well, I'm not trying to play no games. I said, this is for real. I was with someone who killed someone, and I'm trying to report it. And they're like, okay. They said, where are you at? And I said, I'm in Joplin, Missouri. And they said, well, call the Joplin Police Department then. I said, okay. So I did. And they didn't think that it was they thought it was a joke at first. I said, no, I'm being serious. They said, should you come here to the Joplin Police Department? I said, yes. So I went there. My ex-husband, me, and my youngest son went to the Joplin Police Department. So,
did you think in that moment when you went there that you would never leave?
about that at all. I thought, okay, I'm going to report this. They're going to go get him. You know, even though I was there, I'm a witness. Without me, they would have never even known that this person was killed.
So you got laughed at when you tried to do the right thing, and then you did the right thing, and here we are 25 years later. And like I said, I'm gonna hold it up. She's calling us right now from Chillicothe Correctional Center, where she's been for 25 years for a crime that she did not commit, and the person that did commit it is free.
Yep. Yeah,
Is it?
They said that at first I didn't tell them the whole story. I only told them part of it because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, I have been in prison 2 other times for drugs, you know, because I was a drug addict. I am not anymore, of course, and would never, ever live that lifestyle again. But they told me, they said, so you're really more involved in this than you're saying, right? And I said, kind of. Because I didn't lie about anything I told them. I just didn't tell them the whole story at that time.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know if I was going to be locked up or not, you know, so I didn't. So that's what I was convicted on.
How many hours did they interrogate you?
Oh, about 5 or 6 probably.
Okay. And at the end of those 5 or 6 hours, do you feel as though you told them everything you had?
No.
Okay. Because you were scared and afraid. And let me tell you this. It is a situation you will never be able to imagine yourself to be in. So we're fighting for our lives. We are fighting for our lives. And I remember when I went up for parole, he said, well, I'm going to ask you this question. And he says, I kind of laughed it off. This is a member of the parole board. And he was like, it says in the paperwork that you said you thought it was a cap gun. Did you think it was a cap gun? And I said, this is what I thought. I was in a whole lot of trouble and I was trying to say whatever I could to get out of it. So I lied. I know I saw a gun. And why would this man have a cap gun? That's not going to happen. I just saw a gun, picked it up and shot it. So I don't know why I said that. And I'm sure in this moment, as we're having this discussion, do you think back then, if you would have told them everything that you know, that you wouldn't be in prison right now?
No, I think I still would have got locked up.
Me too. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because listen, when they're gunning for somebody, and here's the thing, you helped them to solve a case that would have went unsolved. Is that true?
That's correct. They never would have ever found her body. Or because the real killer, they even asked him, when were you going to go to the cops? He said, never.
Right. Right. And this is all documented, correct?
Yes.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. So tell me right now, how can we help you, the audience that's listening? First, we need someone to open up her case. We need the people who put her in this position to realize that, hey, the man that committed the crime is free. He's free and he would have never told you. So here's another thing that I feel like happens to us. When we're on drugs, we're a woman that society gives up on us and feels like, hey, it's just another drug addict. So if he would have killed you, which was a real possibility, and your case went unsolved, it's like in this moment where they want to lock you up and throw away the key. They never cared about you. That society had given up on you, so you were a throwaway individual. Would you agree with that?
That's correct.
Yeah, and you're not. We're not. Look at me. Go ahead. I said we're not throwaway individuals. We're people. We're humans.
Yeah, they think that that if I actually killed somebody, you think I would go to the cops and say, hey, this is who did this. This is who killed her. I was there. That's how I know that. Can you just lock me up for life without parole? Yeah. That doesn't happen.
No. So even as a drug addict, even as somebody who is active in addiction, here's another thing. A battered woman, they take that from us. They take that from us. And we become these cold-hearted killers who all of those bad things that happened still happened. This woman was still afraid for her life. She was still afraid for her life. So I feel like Terressa Cummings did everything right. I do. And that's why I want to tell her story. That's why this whole series is taking place called Gone, but Not Forgotten. So what I need right now is someone who practices law, someone who may not be in the state of Missouri, somebody that has the presence of mind and hears what I'm saying and hears what she is saying to help. There's so many more Terressa Cummings. Do you agree? There's so many more people. And there's another woman, I'm going to say her name, Tanya Cummings. They're not related. Her name's Tanya Cummings. Her brother got the death penalty. And the whole time he was in, said my sister had nothing to do with it. She was just in the same vehicle waiting for him to go in and supposedly borrow some money. And do you remember when we sat with her the night they killed her brother?
Yes.
And do you remember the hurt and anguish? And even, I'm sure it was a double-edged sword that not only did I lose my brother, but he said the whole time that I had nothing to do with it. There's other Terressa Cummings. Terressa, we've been on here about 16 minutes chopping it up. This is one of my dear friends, and iron sharpens iron. I remember a lot of times Terressa would get into she would get into not relationships, because I don't want you to think the wrong thing, but friends. She would become friends with people that saw her heart condition. And I would say, Terressa, that's not your friend. But it hurts so much when that's your inside family. And Terressa, you know what situation I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I do.
That just speaks to her character. That even in a lonely, hopeless place, that she wanted to save relationships and friendships that weren't even, people were self-serving, and they saw her good heart. And I really feel like law enforcement saw that they had somebody that they could manipulate, that they could use and make an example of, when the example didn't need to be put on your shoulders. Would you agree?
Absolutely, I agree.
Now tell us anything. Yeah, go ahead.
Every day I sit here and I know that, for my participation, I don't feel like I should have walked scot-free because I was there. However, life without parole for a murder I didn't commit is not cool. I mean, I don't feel like I deserve that at all.
I know you don't deserve it. I know you as a person. And we're not evil, angry, hurtful people. We're not. 85% of the people who are in prison for a violent crime, if not more, are not the same people. They're not the same people, or they were good people. I was a good person. I was just going down the wrong path. Terressa is a good person. She was just going down the wrong path. So clearly, anybody, this is a cry. This is a cry out to the world, to anybody that's listening. Help us. Terressa, tell us something to round us out. And we'll leave these the people that are listening with these thoughts in their mind, that there's somebody just like you that got in a bad way. If you can help us, help us.
Speaking of my good heart, I met Ronnie Johnson. He was walking down the alley, and he stopped to help me load a dryer in the back of my stepson's truck. I met him on my birthday, June the 20th, and 45 days later, I was in jail for first-degree murder. So, that's the kind of person I am. I'm not a murderer. I am a good-spirited person, like Sarita said, and I don't deserve to be here any longer. I would still work. I could be a productive citizen out there. My daughter is in New York. I have loving family. I have a son in the UK. I have another son that's in prison for shooting a law enforcement officer. But, however, I can still be a productive citizen out there.
That's
I
right.
love my children, all three of them, no matter anything, what's going on in their lives. But I can still work and make a living for myself out there.
That's right. That's right. So if I got to leave you with anything today, I just want to thank you for listening. And I want to give you a call to action to help my friends. Help my friends. And even if I don't know them, they're my brothers, they're my sisters in the struggle. Thank you, Terressa, for coming on. And tune in.
For everybody that's listening, thank you. Please help.
Amen. Tune in. Gone, but not forgotten. All right.